Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Meaty boys brawling, no holds barred loud. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe. Not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman? One more, you know what I mean?
Tune in the vibe.
Guard lay on the mic tonight. News coming in left and right. More better with the latest fight. Gene's got that insight tight. Champions rise and they fall. Wire to wire, got it all. Every movie, every brawl. Tune in for the curtain call. Wrestling talk all night long. Catch the latest match and song. Ring the bell, let's get it on. Every story bright and strong. In the ring they clash and roar. New rivalries and so much more. Titles change and legends lore.
What is poppin', y'all? It is your boy, GAR-E3, and welcome to the Meaty Boyz Podcast. Now, of course, joining us, just like every week, he is Mo Better. How you doing, Mo?
Hey, what's good, Brett, chat, everybody else joining us? Welcome to the Meaty Boyz Podcast.
Absolutely. And it's going to be a lot of fun this week because last week took a little bit of a rest week. But this week, we're going to be bringing you our thoughts from all the events that happened last weekend. It's going to be a great time because it was action-packed last weekend. And I figure, Mo, we had 2 phenomenal events and 2 events that, quite frankly, were the best shows of each respective company. But I want to get the other event out of the way. Saturday night's main event, it was an event that certainly happened. And the big takeaways from that night, obviously we saw that, unfortunately, Seth Rollins went down with a knee injury. So hopefully that's a speedy recovery for Seth. Hopefully he did that same moonsault that he hurt his knee on against Jinder. So I think that that might be time to retire that move out of his arsenal. So speedy recovery to Seth Rollins. Hopefully he's back sooner rather than later.
Agreed. I think Steph. I think at this point in his career, Seth, leave the high flying stuff to the younger guys.
Yeah, just try to find moves that are less impactful on the knees and save the high-flying stuff for the big match. And maybe don't bust them out on a random Saturday night's main event. But really the big talking point coming out of last weekend, Saturday night, Goldberg's retirement match. So, Mo, is there another word to use to describe that besides disaster, I guess? Goldberg's not happy. Everybody's mad at Goldberg for not being happy, but at the same time, we had a 15-minute Goldberg match, which actually went a lot better than I thought it would. And then he grabs the mic to give his retirement speech, and then the show cuts off.
That was brutal.
And it's weird. You would think with the Seth injury, Mo, like he would have plenty of time to, cut a speech and kind of talk about his, career. But I guess my question to you is overall, what do you make of the whole like Goldberg situation? And do you think he has a right to be upset as to how everything went down?
I think he has every right to be upset about them cutting him off because this is his final match, and the guy can't speak, he can't reflect. Like, I don't. It was the last match, right? Like, why not? And look, the match itself, I thought it was better than I imagined. Honestly, I thought Gunther did a really good job of making it look credible. Like, he showed me another side of him as an in-ring performer. He did a great job of selling, Goldberg's power, the intimidation factor. Like, Gunther did a good job in his own way. I thought he carried Goldberg. So I thought it was a credible match. The outcome, I'm good with that. Gunther should win. I'm disappointed in that they wouldn't let Goldberg at least, like I said, the man's last match of the night. Why can't he reflect? Like, they did him the way they do guys on an award show when they think they're running long and they're getting ready to go to commercial. They did everything but cue the music, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I get why, Goldberg's upset. And I think the only part of his criticism that I didn't really find valid was he was like, well, I wanted the match to be at a, PLE or a pay-per-view. I was like, okay, like, calm down on that one because they literally dedicated a whole event to being built around you. So,
Right.
like, I thought the idea of doing it at a Saturday night's main event was fine, but I completely understand him being upset about the execution because even if they had to cut the match in half, like 7-minute match, 7-minute retirement speech, like, I think that would have been fantastic. And I think it just is unfortunate for Goldberg because at the end of the day, no matter what people think about him, he is a legend. He did give a solid, started in 97, and he gave us a lot of great moments, especially in WCW and even his return back in 2015. So I do understand where he's coming from, and I do feel for him. I don't agree with everything that he said, but I understand him being upset about his old retirement speech getting cut off.
No question. Look, he's one of the great power in-ring performers in wrestling history, period. You throw out, is he a great wrestler or a grappler? He's not. But there are a lot of great power wrestlers. There weren't actually great wrestlers. Ultimate Warrior had less of a move skill set than Goldberg did. Lex Luger had slightly more than Goldberg. What they were, though, they were credible performers. And to his credit, he leaned into the whole Goldberg aura and image, and he made it work. And he put together an incredible career. I got nothing but flowers for the guy.
No, absolutely. It's always funny when people talk about, like, when guys like Goldberg, like, oh, he only has 3 or 4 moves. And I'm just like, that's just literally every single, like, WWE superstar in existence. They have their, like, 4 or 5 moves, like, core moves that they have to hit, and anything else is just jelly on top. Like, we're talking about, like, it's not like Stone Cold Steve Austin had a wide array of moves he busted out, or even The Rock, he didn't have that wide of an array of moves he busted out. So I always find that almost like bag argument when it comes to WWE superstars funny, because it's like, your main guys have a main, like, 5 moves they're hitting for sure, and they're going to do that every match. So it'll make it seem like every superstar only has a 5 moves to do. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's next for Goldberg. I know we'll see him occasionally pop up on TV shows. I think he could be He's been doing a lot of interviews in media, which are, always interesting.
I think he could be a good guest commentator. It's funny because not too long ago you had Jesse Ventura on a Saturday night main event. Obviously Goldberg is a younger man, and he's probably more relatable. I think he could do that. He could be a color commentator along with obviously the main announcers. I think he could do that in stints. And I don't think it's a bad idea if he still wants to stay connected to the WWE universe.
Absolutely. And obviously Saturday night's main event had a competition. Say what you will, we can pick which event was better. There's two events that happened last weekend now that honestly, Mo, I think they're literally just the best pay-per-views that happened for each company. I said that earlier, said it again. We'll start with the AEW side of things. AEW All In, absolute masterclass. It really felt like one of those rare pay-per-views that they didn't really miss on anything. We had Okada versus Omega. Okada beat Omega, which I think is fair. They have to, he defends the title in a tournament every year. I don't think, Kenny has the gas to get through a full tournament at this point, but those two had a phenomenal match. Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné had a phenomenal match.
They did. I thought both of those ladies pushed the other. I don't know what Dave Meltzer is going to rate it, but looked like a 5-star match to me. If it's not a 5-star match, what is it, a 4.8? Like it's pretty damn close in my opinion. I watched it from start to finish. Just impressive. And I like it that their storytelling is a little different. I think a lot of people thought because of the buildup, they were going to put Mercedes Moné over, but I'm fine with Toni Storm beating her because, one, Mercedes is such a big enough star. She doesn't need the funny thing is Toni Storm is the champion, and I love everything about her, but I think she needs the belt more than Mercedes does.
Absolutely, and it's funny. We saw a lot of I saw people complaining about Mercedes not winning, and I thought that was kind of funny for a multitude of reasons. I think the first one is the fact that she already has 6 belts,
right?
And the problem with crowning her a double champion with the TBS AEW title and 5 other belts is like when you crown a double champion, you kind of feel it, especially when it's like the main world title and the main mid-card title, because now that's just less prizes for people to be fighting for or trying to overwork the same person. So I do think Mercedes time's coming for the world title, but I think at first we got to finish up her story with the TBS title and drop some of these other titles before we, get her back into the world title victory scene.
And I think that's going to be the story, right? Like, I don't want to use the word slump, but she's got 6 other belts. Let you and I both assume she's going to lose at least 3 of them, right? She's going to have to, because like you said, one person garnering all those belts, that means that one person is doing all the work and they're holding on to everything that everybody else wants to compete for. When you're in a position where you can give up 3 belts and you still have 3 belts, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, and I also hated some of the discourse around this match, though. It was so weird going on Twitter and TikTok because I like seeing like the different reactions to the match, and I saw people try to make the argument that, oh well, Mercedes should have won and she had to carry Toni Storm, and I'm like, hold on. Here's my problem with the idea that anybody got carried in a match like this. I don't think you can carry anybody to a 5-star match or even a 4.7 5-star match like this was. I think both ladies clearly put in the work. I hated the disrespect that some people gave Toni Storm after the match. Like, they both clearly elevated to a level that, only they can really hit. Like, if if you're really carrying somebody in the match, like you might be able to pull it to like 3.5 star, like an okay match.
Right.
But a match like that, both ladies put on their working shoes and they absolutely both knocked it out of the park and delivered us an absolute banger and arguably the best women's match of the weekend. And we'll talk about the other best women's match of the weekend later, but that was definitely in the conversation for it.
And I think look, I'm such a big fan of Toni Storm. I love that she created this persona for herself, and she's fully embraced it. And I think we talked about it at different times. The freedom that AEW gives her, she would never have gotten that in WWE. She wouldn't have. Not to be how she is, not to talk the way the character Toni Storm talks. They would have never done that. They would have done it. I will say this: they would have done it freely and with no hesitation in the Attitude Era, but they wouldn't go for that now, which I think is a mistake because she kind of blends today's wrestling with a little bit of the Attitude Era. She's young, but she's kind of got an old soul. Like when you watch those two women perform at the high level that they perform at, you almost forget because she seems like a veteran. Toni Storm's only 25 years old. She's only 25 years old. That's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, and we can look forward to her next matchup too, where they had the casino ladder matches to figure out who's going to be next in line to win that contract to be able to challenge the champion. Athena versus Toni Storm is going to be absolutely terrific.
That's going to be a good match.
I think she's been wallowing around in Ring of Honor for almost too long at this point. I think that she needed to be, become a mainstay on, regular television. So I love seeing her win and just kind of get the call up. And now we're seeing her weekly exactly like she deserves. And on the flip side, MJF is now in control of the contract, which he's the perfect guy for it. MJF with the backing of the Hurt Syndicate, that's like the perfect foil for our new champion, Hangman Adam Page, to deal with.
Yes, I agree 100%. And I kind of like the way he flipped the script with all that. I'm looking forward to where they take the storytelling with that.
No, absolutely. And we're looks like we're finally getting the Cope and Christian reunion. Christian got kicked out of his own group and
no.
Now he's going by Adam Copeland again. So Edge saved him, and it looks like they're trending towards Edge and Christian versus FTR at All Out on the 20th of September, which is in Canada. So I think that's the end game. I think they'll tie up some loose ends against the patriarchy in the middle somewhere, but I think the clear end game, it's going to be a fantastic match, are those two versus FTR in September in Canada.
Can't wait.
But might as well talk about the main event a little bit. And I guess my question to you about the main event is, do you think the ending completely salvaged the Death Rider storyline? Because it's weird. It felt like a trilogy with a really bad second movie. But the first and third movie were actually really fun to watch. Like the Hangman and Swerve stuff was great. The stuff with Orange Cassidy and the young guys in the beginning was fun. It was just that slog in the middle with Cope that almost killed the whole story. But
agreed.
Do you think that with the way that they ended it with Hangman beating him in Texas and having that great moment of opening up the briefcase to finally save the AEW title, would you put this as a good story, or what did you think about the story overall?
Like you said, there was a slog in the middle of it, but they did the unthinkable. They kind of breathed fresh life into it, right? You know what I mean? It was stale. It was a stale product. And with the way they did things, I looked at it completely differently, the way they've done it. I thought they found a way to breathe life into something that seemed lifeless.
No, and I completely agree with that. Overall, like the other fun match from the weekend, like the Young Bucks lost their EVP powers, and which has been absolutely hilarious to watch unfold throughout the weeks. They lost to Osprey and Swerve Strickland, and it's been so funny to watch. Like on Dynamite, they came out, they didn't have their pyro anymore. They updated their Twitter status or their Twitter bio to the company card keeps declining. Like they're leaning all into like this whole like they're broke now and they can't misuse their power.
Right.
Overall, just when AEW really locks in, they do some incredible work, and they're on an absolute heater right now, and I love to see it.
Agreed. I'm with you on this, partner.
And the other event of the weekend, of course, Evolution. And I think this was WWE's best event of the year. Like, at first, their whole idea to steal the weekend started out really rough because Saturday night's main event was not it, but they made up for it and then some with Evolution. Ooh, man. We had a fun battle royal. We're getting potentially getting the winner of the triple threat match at SummerSlam, getting Stephanie Vakir in France at Clash in Paris. Like, no matter who wins that match, it's going to be a really fun matchup, whoever makes it to Paris.
I'm excited. All I can say is what the ladies were able to do with Evolution, they salvaged WWE's weekend because, like you said, it didn't get off to the best of starts. And all AEW did was roll sevens with their pay-per-view.
Absolutely.
Across the board, sevens.
I completely agree with that. I actually thought, the different legends that performed also put in night shifts. Like Nikki Bella looked good in the Battle Royal. I think Trish looked about as well as she could.
She was better than I thought she would be. She was credible, and I didn't know that she'd be able to be credible. But shout out to Chris for her looking that way. Trish looked great, and look, I didn't think she was going to win, but it was a credible match, and that was my concern going into it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I know, obviously Jade got a convincing win over Naomi, trying to continue to push her towards her title match against Tiffy at SummerSlam. But, we all know what the talking point was, Mo. Probably what is going to be the best women's match of the year. Now, ironically, the only other match in contention with this is the other triple threat with Rhea and Io in it with Bianca.
Right.
But now Rhea and Io, they have this incredible 25-minute match. We're getting to the closing moments, and then Naomi cashes in and wins the title. Wow, I will be the first to admit I had no idea that they were going to have a Naomi cash in. They absolutely made it seem like she was so locked in on Jade. She was going to save the briefcase for Jade at SummerSlam. But, man, this was such a swerve, and this was so well done. This was arguably the best women's match of the year. And if you want to tell me that the triple threat at Mania was better, I won't argue with you on it, but man, this was just so well done.
The triple threat for Mania was amazing. And I know people will say recency bias. I think the match between Io and Rhea was better, slightly better. And I was so caught up in the match, and I'm sure you and others were, the concept of Naomi cashing in never crept into my mind. That's how caught up in the match I was. All the false finishes. I was like, I don't know who's going to win. I had no clue who was going to win. They both had amazing counters for each other. And they're both lying in the middle of the ring, and here she comes. And I'm like, I was blown away that she did a cash in. Shout out to Naomi for picking the right spot to make her move.
I was so locked into the match, like I heard music hit, and I'm like, "Who is that?" And then it like hit me a second later. I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's Naomi." So it's so weird, the discourse around Money in the Bank cash in these days, because I thought like some people were complaining like, "Oh, the Money in the Bank cash in it ruined such a great match." I'm like, I think it actually added to the match. I thought it made it even better. It gave me it's like kind of how Roman and Brock, when Seth cashed in and made that match even better, that gave me the same vibes here. Like, I think it actually elevated the match. Like, and guess what? It kind of saves it down the line that you can now run Rhea and Io again in the future, because Rhea has still never beaten Io. So
That's the interesting part that nobody thinks about. That, but my mind went there too, partner. I was like, so no matter what, I know we're talking about the triple threat that's coming, but because of the way it ended, yeah, you're gonna see at some point Io and Rhea lock up again one-on-one. That's unfinished business. The real question is going forward, though, is what kind of run are they going to give Naomi as champion?
hopefully, I'm hoping it's a long run, but I'm also like, it's so like hard to predict because they have so many women that they just like to book strong. Like Rhea is always a threat to win that title. I know they're having a draft, I think, soonish, and if like Bianca goes over to Raw, she's always a threat to win the title. Like, those are some, let's say, some shark infested waters over there. It's going to be some tough sledding, but I'm hoping to give her at least a strong title reign until, like, I would say at least the Royal Rumble. If they don't want her going into Mania as champion, then that's their call. But I hope at least she gets a title reign till like Survivor Series or the Royal Rumble.
I hope so too. I think the Royal Rumble would be a nice run. And who knows? Maybe they surprise us and they go another way and Naomi holds onto the belt longer than we expected. Like, people forget that she's an incredible in-ring talent, that she's also a former women's champion. She's worn a belt before. It's been a minute, but look, I'm excited for her. I really am. And here's the thing that we both know: Io, Rhea, they're huge. They're huge stars who I'm sure they would love the belt, but they're going to be huge stars no matter what. They're big enough to where they can function minus the belt. I love everything about Naomi and what she's done, but I think she needs the belt more than they do.
No, and absolutely. Like, and if they do have a longer title reign plan for Naomi, I think she's one of those wrestlers that just completely deserves it. You know, she's given a lot for the company, and if they want to give her a title reign and let her walk into WrestleMania as the champion, like, I'd be all for it. I think at the end of the day, she is one of those ladies that she deserves it. So I'm hoping it's a long title reign, and I hope they surprise us. So WrestleMania Naomi would be fantastic.
Facts. Like I said, I'm always curious with creative Triple H and where they're going with this, because they have a myriad of ways that they can take this story. Like, one of the most obvious ways, and I think we both would agree, is they have the triple threat match and Rhea's champion again, right? Is it like Rhea becoming champion, mommy being on top again? That wouldn't be a shocking thing for us. You know what I mean? Like, we know eventually she's going to be the champ again. Io holding on in a lot of ways, that's almost a longer shot than Naomi winning. I you know what I mean? Like, I feel like either they're going to allow Rhea to finally beat Io, or they're going to give Naomi a run that she's going to outsmart them or get them turned on each other and find a way to steal the match again. Maybe she steals the match because someone interferes and she takes advantage of it.
I think they'll eventually go that route with Naomi. I think there's a lot of talented people that she could kind of tutor and you could bring in for her, like Lash Legend from NXT. Like, there's just so much talent that I think would benefit from working with Naomi. So I think it would actually be smart if she brought in some backup and you could let him learn under her wing for, a year or so or however long.
And Lash Legend is she's a powerhouse. Look, you and I both know NXT has no shortage of talent on that roster. They just called up Stephanie McClure, who I think is on she's on rocket fuel right now, and the sky's the limit for her. I wouldn't mind seeing a Lash Legend come up, maybe be kind of like under Naomi's wing, learn from her, maybe play the role that Roxanne plays in the Judgment Day. If you've ever seen Lash Legend perform, big personality, underrated performer, I think she would be great in a certain role on the main roster.
No, absolutely. I'm excited for it. Overall, if you're a fan of wrestling, just great weekend to be a wrestling fan last weekend. I had to say definitely had to keep tabs on NXT tonight, but mainly because I saw that The Undertaker was going to be on there. So
that's right, because I believe Trick said he might slap him, which we both know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, Trick ate a choke slam for his troubles.
That sounds about right. And obviously I believe the main event, is it a triple threat match?
I believe so.
So look, that's another thing I like about NXT. They put together some really good, interesting matches. They have good storytelling. Their champion, Obafemi, look, I think he's one of those guys that he's so talented, you kind of got to hold him back. Like I don't know what you would do with him at this point on the main roster. I think he would go to waste on the main roster. But I think he's ready. I think they're going to give him maybe another year before he gets to the main roster. I think Trick's the next one up. That's what I believe.
They genuinely, he's just so big, and they've built him so powerful, Mo, to a point where one of two things is going to have to happen. A, he's going to have to lose that title in a triple threat match or a fatal 4-way, or B, he might just have to relinquish the title, because in a one-on-one match, I just don't see who's beating Obafemi. He's that big and unstoppable, and he plays the part so well that he's just a monster, and I love it. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the next steps for Obafemi.
Yeah, I love watching his continued growth. I find myself, look, I love the main roster, but I tune in for NXT every week because they don't disappoint. They're very entertaining, and I like the way Shawn Michaels is bringing along that young, talented roster.
Oh, hey, by the way, my least favorite fantasy booker struck again. And his name is Rikishi.
Oh, no.
Mr.
Wait a minute. This is not about, what did he say last? Last thing I heard him say was, if the fans demand it, I might come back.
Yeah, he said, if they ask, I would join the bloodline. I'm I don't think anybody wants to see the bloodline in 2025 at this point. It's pretty worn out, unless you're including Roman Reigns. But also, I don't think anybody's really waking up one morning and go, you know what would be great? Rikishi-led bloodline. Let's go.
I thought that was fun. Look, he's a big-time performer from the Attitude Era, but and I know he's proud of his family, as he should be. I don't want to see him make a return to the ring. You don't want to see him make a return to the ring. They won't say it because they don't want to hurt his feelings, but I don't think his kids want to see a return to the ring.
No, and the thing with the idea of the bloodline is just kind of a more serious group who can do some damage, and the only goofy element they've ever had that really worked was obviously Sami Zayn, but Sami Zayn was also so good in the ring and he made it work. So I don't know what like Rikishi would realistically like. Like the whole like character fit into the group just doesn't make sense. Like when The Rock joined, it was really cool because The Rock just has that aura, and the final boss character was great.
That I agree. I mean, what purpose would Rikishi have other than he at this stage of his life he can probably still beat up Paul Heyman, right? Like you know what I mean? Like that's about it. But he can't out talk Heyman on the mic. And really, I just don't see a role for him. I think he's a good ambassador for WWE when he's not complaining. I think he should just focus on being a good ambassador. You can be an ambassador and a fan at the same time. They're both possible. And you can be happy for your family. Your sons won just because he just lost the world championship, but they're still in big matches. Your daughter-in-law is the women's heavyweight champion. You know what I mean? Like, life is not bad for the bloodline. Solo's wearing a belt right now that Jacob's chasing after. You're okay, Pops. Like, just chill.
Yeah, no, at the end of the day, like the whole like, Samoan family's like doing fantastic. So yeah, if I'm Rikishi, just slow it down a little bit and just kind of let them thrive.
Yeah. Look, and the thing is, they're not kids anymore. You forget because time goes so fast. Jay and Jimmy are 39. They're still in terrific shape, but my point is they're far removed from being raw, inexperienced guys. They know the business inside and out. They're going to be fine. I like the next wave that you do have a Solo and a Jacob Fatu. Those are stars. Tama Tonga and his brother, those are not stars, but there's a role for them in WWE.
I think the Tongans could very well not be stars, but they could almost be like stars of the tag team division.
They could be, honestly. They did win it not too long ago, I believe.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and speaking of tag teams, I still can't believe that later this year we're getting wait, what's going on, David? I still can't believe, Mo, that we're actually getting the Dudley Boys and Hardy Boys in an actual match in like October.
Yeah, look, if I want to see old men wrestle, I could go to like Shady Oaks Retirement Center and watch them in a tag team match right after Shuffleboard. But other than that, I don't want to see old dudes. Like, I get it. Wrestling is the one sport in sports entertainment that you can be older, be in terrific shape, and still be a terrific competitor. But I've seen the bodies of Jeff Hardy, his brother. They are beating down. Like, that they physically can't even move like they used to. And they look old as dirt. And I look, you love the Dudley Boys. I love the Dudley Boys. They've always been entertaining. And they're great performers. They were never great wrestlers. They were just brawlers, but they were great at it. Do I want to see four old men beat the hell out of each other? No, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I would rather them all like be more commentators or find other roles. But I'm one of those people that there comes a time when your in-ring life is over. And I think all of them are long past their in-ring life.
Yeah, and it's funny because people are trying to make the argument. They're like, well, the Hardys have looked good. And my counterpoint is like, they've looked better recently because you're putting them against younger teams that can really bump for them and everything. Like,
right.
When you put the Hardys with young talent, like, it's the best result. It still kind of works because the Hardys can still like move just enough to like, do their hits, and they're still willing to do crazy stuff off ladders and everything. So, but like, I see, the Dudleys versus the Hardys. I'm just like, this sounds awesome in 2001, but this is 24 years later. It is time to hang up this matchup.
And remember, we just had this conversation this morning on the morning show, how the tag team division is kind of in disarray. What we need in wrestling in general, but especially for WWE, they got to get some new. They got to get some new blood, or like you said, make it out like you're an NBA owner / general manager. Work some trades.
Somebody made a great basketball analogy to this. They're like Dudley's versus Hardy's in 2025, and they started showing Wizards Paul Pierce highlights. I'm like, oh no. You're compared to Wizards and Clippers Paul Pierce. Yeah, no.
You know what? I like where Damien's head at. You know what I mean? Like that's right. You get the Wizards Paul Pierce, the Magic Patrick Ewing, the what is Elijah one on the Raptors? Ouch.
It's that one. It feels like it's that one photo of Raptors Hakeem posting up Magic Patrick Ewing, and you're just like, oh boy, wish I never saw that, but all right.
Right. You can't unsee it. They're the Dudleys are Hall of Famers. The Hardys are Hall of Famers. And I get it. If you've lived in a spotlight for over 20 years, that addiction, that's a tough one to kick. But I think there's safer and better ways for these guys at this stage and at this age in their lives than risking, and I'm not even joking when I say this, they are risking serious injury.
Yeah, and if you want them to wrestle, like put them against like younger talent that'll really bump for them and make them look like $1 million. So I'm hoping that this match is better than I think it's going to be, but I feel like that, a TNA Bound for Glory in October, that it's just going to be an absolute snooze fest. Say, question, is it me or the TNA WWE partnership not really benefiting TNA at all? It's benefiting WWE more than anything.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It feels like TNA had their chance this past weekend, right? And they kind of blew it in the sense that, so obviously the WWE guys have all the TNA belts. Trick Williams is the TNA World Champ. JC Jane just won the Women's Championship. But it really feels like they blew it. Like, you had Trick Williams in the main event. You actually, like, have one of your biggest Slammiversaries to date. You had over 7,000 people from New York. You have Santana in the main event who's from New York. Like, you could have really given everybody watching this phenomenal moment of Santana winning and recapturing the TNA title and saving it from WWE in front of a rabid home crowd, and they didn't pull the trigger. Like,
right.
I sometimes people are like, well, you see, but they did that with Cody Rhodes and it worked. And that, I don't think that's an every time situation, though. You don't just always have to hold off somebody winning the title for a quote unquote bigger moment.
Right.
Because sometimes, and I think in this case, I think that's just a missed moment, because I don't think it'll get bigger than that. And especially if you're trying to put over someone like Santana, like, what better spot to do it in New York in front of a sellout crowd of like 7,500 people. So
I just hope that the deeper we get into this partnership with TNA and WWE, WWE does a better job of holding up its end for TNA.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope the end is just TNA gets stronger and stronger.
Yeah,
I say they're getting more exposure, obviously, at times, because the TNA title is on WWE TV. So I'm hoping it works out for them. Maybe TNA gets a TV deal out of all this, and it'll be absolutely worth it. TNA has, to their credit, they've always done a phenomenal job of just surviving. I thought in the mid-2010s that they were just kind of cooked after, Hogan and Bischoff screwed up the entire company. But to their credit, they've stuck around this long. So I hope that they're able to take all of this recently developed momentum that they've had and, continue to catapult themselves forward.
I agree. Let's hope it goes just like that. Look, if you're a wrestling fan, the way I am, I'm greedy. I want WWE. I want TNA, Ring of Honor, AEW. I want everybody to be able to flourish, because if they're all putting out great content, great matches, that benefits everybody that's a wrestling fan.
No, absolutely. The Hardys equal KD and LeBron.
No, because KD and LeBron, say what you want, they're still both top 10 players. The Hardys are not top 10 wrestlers. They equal maybe Dame right now today. They're Dame and Drew Holiday. You know what I mean? Like, they're oldest backcourt in the NBA. They're Dame and Drew.
I completely agree with your last point. I've always found this idea of tribalism so weird. Like, oh, you can't like AEW if you're a WWE fan, or you can't like this if you like that promotion. Like, why not? Like, the more wrestling that's thriving, that's better for me, because I don't like what one company's doing. I can just flip to another that's putting on a good product. And it's better for the performers. The more places there are, there's more money to be made. So,
and there's more competition, so it makes you not get lazy and complacent. Agreed?
Oh, yeah. Like, if people don't think that AEW is good and the competition's not good, I want you to go back, rewatch, like, 2019 WWE when we had things like right before AEW went on, when we had, like, Drew and, Roman dumping dog food on each other, and we had Seth Rollins versus The Fiend, and we had Goldberg beating The Fiend, and just, it was an unmitigated, just brutal year. Like, nothing really good came out of that year outside of, like, Kofi Mania. And obviously that was right before AEW came on. So, like, if you go back and watch WWE right before, like, you'll see really quick why competition is the best thing ever, because WWE got really complacent in the late 2010s.
Facts. Speaking of Kofi, I was completely enveloped into Kofi Mania. Like, I loved it. I always thought that he could be successful as a singles performer because he's so talented. I say that to say, look at them now. Look at them now. Now, without the belts that they didn't deserve to have anyway, now they're just walking around backstage annoying people. Like, just look at them now. We just talked about, and it's weird because clearly they're much younger than the Hardys and the Dudleys, but sadly, they don't seem to be much better. Like, if the Hardys and Dudleys were their age, they'd still be putting on bangers. Do you know what I mean? Like, they would still be relevant. New Day is sad to me. It makes me sad seeing them now.
I really thought they were going to get themselves another world tag, title shots this past Monday, and then they lost to the LWO, and I'm like, oh, this is what we're doing with them. Okay.
When you lose to the LWO, it's time to hang them up. You know what I mean? It's time to start looking for, maybe you can be like Wade Barrett's backup or something. Like, it's over. These are you look. I don't want to sound like a hater, because we've been really hard on the LWO, but to be fair, for the longest time, they dwelled in being irrelevant, right? Even if you're an objective wrestling fan, I know they try. Rey Mysterio tried to make the LWO a big thing, but even Rey couldn't lift that. He couldn't even carry that dead weight. And now suddenly they're the hottest tag team. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, they were kind of like fun when they started, but the problem is you could, kind of tell they had a short shelf life. But at this point, like, the fact that they're still going, you're just kind of like, why? Just, it's funny because they can all wrestle and they can all do a lot of cool things, but Absolutely. At the same time, like, just the group in itself has, like, such a negative, like, I don't know, don't have a better word to use, but such a negative, like, presence and aura around them that it's just kind of like you hear the music and you're like, cool, who cares?
Something's missing. Like, I'll give you an example. Andrade and Rey Fenix, that works. You know what I'm saying? That works. Like, there's an it factor. and the LWO doesn't have the it. Whatever the it is, they've always lacked it. But Andrade's always been a talented performer. But I think him and Ray Phoenix, I think Andrade's found his lane. I think he can be a terrific tag team wrestler and bring some relevancy to the tag team division.
I think that honestly, when it comes to the tag division, like SmackDown and Raw need to trip. Like Raw needs to send over some women from the women's division in return for some tag teams, because like SmackDown is a really stacked tag division. Like
They
the
are.
Wyatt Six, the Motor City Machine Guns, the Street Profits, like they have a really good tag team division.
DIY, they got a lot. They got a lot.
DIY and like
Motor City, they got everything. They got everything.
And meanwhile, Raw has like the New Day, and after
Which is like having nothing.
like the War Raiders, and you're just kind of like, just need a couple more teams in there, we might actually have something. So like, if we send, for example, like let's send like the Street Profits to Raw and give them a nice title run, then I think the tag division might be a lot of fun. On the flip side, the women's division at times on SmackDown, seems a little thin. So, meanwhile, the Raw is just, they have Stephanie Vakir, Io, Rhea, Nikki Bella's been over on Raw.
Oh my God. Raw is so deep.
So we can send like 2 tag teams or maybe even 3. To Raw, and maybe send like, send a Io or somebody to SmackDown. Like,
What do they do? They're sending Io to SmackDown for cash considerations or something like, you know what I mean? Like they need to do something, because it's very, very imbalanced. It's very lopsided. Like if you were looking at what Pierce did as a general manager versus what's the dude's name? It slips my mind. See, you slipped your mind too.
it really is.
But the point I'm making is that he'd be fired. The other guy would be fired. He'd be fired. You got to do a better job. I mean, New Day can't be the biggest name you have as a tag team. They can't. And even though they just recently beat them, I don't think the LWO can either.
Nick Aldis, that's his name.
Yeah, see, he's so boring we can't even remember his name.
It's one of those things, like, if you literally just went, maybe like Io and for like the Street Profits, like, I think that's a swap that would benefit both sides. Like, I feel like they have the talent, but they just continuously like overstack each side. They got SummerSlam, looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, though. We got our main events are set. I don't think there's any question that the 2 men's world title matches will main event each night. CM Punk Gunther, Cena Rhodes II. I guess with Cena and Rhodes, like, what do they have to do you think, to redeem themselves from WrestleMania?
It's just got to be a credible match. It's got to be, and I think they did something really smart, Brett. They made it a street fight. You know what I mean? I like that you made it a street fight, because it can be more entertaining that way, and you don't go into it with the expectations of it being a wrestling match. This is a fight. That's completely different. No holds bar. When you do that, you level the playing field. When you do that, I think John Cena's a scary dude that way. Now, in the bigger picture, this has got to be when if Cody's going to ever turn heel, it's going to be at SummerSlam. And I think him turning heel is twofold. I think he'd make a great heel. I actually think Cody would be better as a heel than as a face. And he was good. He was great as a face, but I think he's better as a heel. It also opens the door to where John Cena goes back to being more face John Cena, right? Because he's closer to the end. And I think he wants to leave the way he came in. And I think he will. I think John Cena will maybe he won't go back to being a baby face like he was before, but on some level, he's going to be a face. They're going to cheer for him. They're going to love him. And he's going to go out that way.
No, absolutely. Yeah, Cardi B is the host of SummerSlam. She's been mixing it up with some of the superstars on Twitter. Her and Chelsea Green have been going back and forth. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Drew and Logan Paul.
That does that have me excited? Only because when you put an entertainer in the middle of that, and I know some people out there say, "Well, that's not the same." Logan is a natural. He's just an out and out natural, and he's an incredible athlete. No shade on Jelly Roll. Clearly, he's never wrestled. I'm sure they're working on some things to make it to where he can do a move here or there. Or it's one of those tag team matches that I don't care for. I don't care. I'm not even that interested in it, honestly. I don't even know how it helps out a storyline. It has Randy Orton, one of my favorites. I like Drew McIntyre. I think Drew McIntyre is a terrific performer, and like I said, he's just gifted. I think the addition of Jelly Roll makes me less interested.
I'll give Jelly Roll some credit. Apparently, he's relocated to Florida near the Performance Center, and he's been going pretty daily to try to, tune his skills. So I'll give him credit because it seems like he's taking this very seriously, and that's what I love to see.
Well, if he's taking it seriously, then maybe he should have called up Travis Scott, and they could have went there together, just in case, because you never know. They might give Travis Scott another shot.
Oh no, Travis Scott 10-minute run-in.
that 30-minute walk to the longest walk to the ramp you'll ever see, and it's still the weirdest moment I've seen in years because it's bad enough the walk to the ramp was so long, you forget that it was the main event and the two guys, they actually stopped their action like they were paused waiting on his ass.
John, looking at John Cena, his reaction, in the middle, you just see his face on the Jumbotron, dude, hurry up, please.
Right. Can you just make it like speed it up to a quick jog? Come on, man.
Speaking of Hollywood, do you think The Rock needs to show up at SummerSlam now that Travis Scott has been fired from WWE? Yeah, they've been making sure to not reference Travis Scott all of a sudden.
Is he fired? I didn't know that.
I don't think he's fired. I don't think he was technically with the company, I guess. I think it was one of their special partnerships, but
maybe he's just uninvited.
The Rock showing up, one question. Is he actually going to be involved and dedicated in the storyline?
Yes.
If he is, then sure. The thing with The Rock is when he's actually locked in on something and actually really involved, as we saw with the build-up to WrestleMania 40, it's terrific. He's an entertainer. He can still do this at a high level. But if it's going to be him just showing up again and then just never not to be seen again, at that point, I can do without that at that point. It depends. I'm down for it, but only if The Rock is fully committed to the bit and there's an end game in sight.
I couldn't have said it any better. Completely co-signing what you just said, partner. I only want to see The Rock if he's going to see this all the way through and be a part of this. If this is going to be something that he's so vested in, it carries him all the way through Mania. If he's that guy, I want it. I'm here for it. But anything less than that, then I don't need him to show up at all.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. It's kind of fair with Travis Scott. Plus, they came out with that Astroworld documentary, which obviously painted him in a very bad light. So,
is that at the concert where the people died?
Yeah. So at this point, it's just best that WWE just stays away from Travis Scott.
Yeah, we're good.
I will say with John Cena,
is that why Jelly Roll got called up?
Honestly, probably. It probably was meant to be the Travis Scott tag team match.
Right. And they're like, we got to find Jelly Roll. All right, Jelly Roll.
I will say with John Cena, they have interesting options if he does lose the title because one of the John Cena's greatest rivals that he's ever had was AJ Styles. The matches between the two were incredible. And I'm just saying, John Cena, the only title he's never won, Intercontinental title, could make him a Grand Slam champion. So if he loses to Cody Rhodes, why not have AJ Styles win the Intercontinental title? Then you can run John Cena versus AJ in France.
I would like John Cena to do that. Go ahead and get that notch, put that other notch on his belt, put that IC championship on his belt on his way out. I'm here for all of that. Let him have a mini run on his way out the door as the IC champion. He's done everything. I can't say enough about John Cena. Like, all I know is through my time in wrestling, there are some guys who put their ego over the company. John Cena has been the perfect company guy for over 20 years.
No, absolutely. And him with the IC title, it kind of opens him up to like a more variety of options, right? When it comes to his final match. Because if he is like the world champion, then the options are limited. Because if he's going to drop the world title in his final match, then they're not going to have, like, for example, someone like Braun Breaker win it quite yet. Or somebody that's in the mid-card spot. But if he's the Intercontinental Championship trying to take that with him on his way out, like, and then they could really put anyway. Like, they could have Gunther regain the title. They could have, Breaker or Bronson Reed. Like, they could go in so many different directions with the Intercontinental Championship around his waist.
No, I'm looking forward to it. And look, we're not certain what's going to happen at SummerSlam. We're only projecting. So everybody that's joining us, because I think everybody's got their own idea what may happen. My gut feeling is, though, look, if we get a Cody heel turn, Cody's probably going to walk out with the belt. Or he could lose. You never know. He could lose and still get a heel turn, and The Rock still could make an appearance. There's you said it in the lead up. There's so many ways they can go with this. And I think Cena will be great at selling it. Whichever way they go, Cena's a great salesman. He'll make it work. And I'm okay with that. Cody Rhodes as the champion you love to hate, I'm ready for that.
No, absolutely. And say, we, just like that, Mo, our hour is up. Didn't even feel like it, honestly. That was a great time talking wrestling this week.
That was fast. You know what it was? We didn't hook up last week, and so we had so much built-up wrestling energy, it just flew.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything you want to add before we get up on out of here?
No, I want to thank Damien. I want to thank everybody else in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to join us next week on Meaty Boyz Podcast. Make sure to check Brett and I out later this week on And1 Basketball Podcast. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll make sure to have some fun stuff planned for next week. Maybe we'll talk about some of our favorite SummerSlam matches from the past. There's plenty of good ones. For And1, you can check us out. We're going to be doing the Mount Rushmore for the Southwest Division of the NBA. So who are the 4 greatest players for the Mavericks, Rockets, Memphis Grizzlies, New Orleans Pelicans, and San Antonio Spurs? And then we'll have the challenge of ranking them. And thoughts and prayers out to the family of Ozzy Osbourne and who passed away today. It's unfortunate. It really is. So,
you know what? Before we get out of here, rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne, the legend. But also rest in peace to Malcolm Jamal Warner from The Cosby Show, who played Theo. He passed away yesterday.
Yeah, say rough couple days on the celebrity side of things. So hope everybody, thoughts and prayers to all the loved ones who lost someone. We thank you for tuning in for this week, and we hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night.